I'm going to make little sardine fish pies.
Vinegar pie recipe, and I'm like, aw.
It's one of those spectacular pies that will surprise you.
Pie history is dotted with unusual and forgotten creations that once captured culinary imaginations. From the green tomato pie to the mock turtle pie, why did these bizarre pies fall out of favor? Join us as we explore the 20 worst pies that have faded into history.
This is a green tomato pie. It's one of those spectacular pies that will surprise you.
Green tomato pie was a distinctive dessert that gained some popularity in the 19th century and briefly resurfaced in the mid-20th century. This pie featured sliced green tomatoes combined with sugar, cinnamon, and sometimes vinegar, creating a sweet and tangy taste. The mixture was often blended with flour and butter and baked in a pastry crust. The pie offered a way to use unripe tomatoes from the garden. Despite its inventive use of ingredients, green tomato pie never became widely popular. Many found the idea of tomatoes in a dessert unappealing, and the flavor was often described as strange or overly tangy. By the late 20th century, green tomato pie had mostly faded from American tables. As we say goodbye to the curious green tomato pie, could another unusual pie make its mark on culinary history? Let's explore the intriguing world of sardine pie next.
I'm in one of those sardine moods again today, and I thought I'd try a little fun project. I'm going to make little sardine fish pies.
Sardine pie was a popular dish in the mid-20th century, especially during the 1950s and 60s. This savory pie usually included canned sardines mixed with ingredients like potatoes or onions, all baked inside a pie crust. The filling often featured sardines, mashed potatoes, sautéed onions, and sometimes a bit of mustard or other seasonings to boost the flavor. The dish originated from the need for affordable and nutritious meals when fresh meat was hard to come by or too expensive. Sardines were a practical choice due to their high omega-3 fatty acids and protein content. However, sardine pie was not well loved by many. Its strong fishy taste was unappealing to some, and the combination with potatoes or onions didn't suit everyone's taste. By the late 20th century, sardine pie had mostly faded from popularity, remembered mainly as a quirky and unappealing dish from the past.
Today, I am going to show you how to make spaghetti pie. Layers of deliciousness.
Spaghetti pie became popular in the 1950s and 60s as a savory dish made with cooked spaghetti, eggs, cheese, and sometimes meat, all baked together in a pie crust or shaped like a pie. The dish typically combines cooked spaghetti with beaten eggs, grated cheese like Parmesan or mozzarella, and often ground meat or sausage. These ingredients were mixed and baked until the pie was set and golden brown on top. The origin of spaghetti pie was rooted in the post-war era, when families looked for creative ways to use leftovers and stretch their food budgets. It was a practical dish that could feed many people using common pantry items. Despite its practicality, spaghetti pie did not win universal acclaim. Some people found the texture of baked spaghetti unusual, and the mix of pasta with pie crust was considered strange.
My cottage cheese pie recipe is easy and delicious. This old-fashioned dessert recipe is one you definitely want to try.
Cottage cheese pie, a dessert with European origins, gained popularity in the USA during the mid-20th century. The pie was made with cottage cheese, eggs, and sugar, creating a somewhat tangy cheesecake-like texture. The recipe typically involved small curd cottage cheese, which was blended until smooth and mixed with eggs, sugar, and occasionally a hint of lemon zest for extra flavor. The mixture was poured into a pie crust and baked until firm. The history of cottage cheese pie traced back to German, Hungarian, and other Central European immigrants who brought their recipes to America. It was a practical dessert, using ingredients that were easy to find. Despite its creamy texture and tangy flavor, cottage cheese pie did not win universal acclaim. Many people found the idea of using cottage cheese in a dessert unappealing, and its texture was often described as odd or too tangy. While cottage cheese pie stirred mixed feelings, what happens when a dish combines tangy sauerkraut with sweet ingredients? Let's explore sauerkraut pie.
We will make a sauerkraut pie today, with a layer of pork mince, and with soured cream with marjoram on top.
Sauerkraut pie was an unusual dish that mixed tangy sauerkraut with sugar, eggs, and sometimes spices, all baked in a traditional pie crust. It had its roots in German-American communities where sauerkraut, a type of fermented cabbage, was a common ingredient. German immigrants brought sauerkraut to America in the 18th century, and the pie likely began as a way to use up extra sauerkraut, combining sweet and savory flavors. Popular in the 1950s and 60s, sauerkraut pie was a unique addition to potlucks and family gatherings. However, its taste was not universally liked. The mix of sweet and sour, along with the strong flavor of sauerkraut, made it a dish that many found strange and unappealing. As a result, its popularity faded over time. Despite its odd flavor, sauerkraut pie remains an interesting example of culinary experimentation. Mayonnaise pie was a sweet dessert that mixed mayonnaise, sugar, and eggs to create a rich and creamy texture. This unusual pie appeared in the mid-20th century, especially during the 50s and 60s, when people were trying out new recipes and ingredients. Mayonnaise, usually used in savory dishes, was surprisingly added to desserts for its moisture and smooth texture. Despite this inventive twist, mayonnaise pie wasn't loved by everyone. Many people were put off by the idea of using mayonnaise in a sweet pie, and its unique flavor didn't appeal to all tastes. The tangy undertone from the mayonnaise clashed with the sweetness, making it a taste that some had to get used to. The pie's fall in popularity came from its unusual ingredients and the mixed reactions it received. While some enjoyed its creamy texture, others found the flavor combination strange and unappealing.
This is a mushroom and onion pie, what I often refer to as the king of pies.
Mushroom and onion pie, a savory dish, became popular in the mid-20th century. It typically included sautéed mushrooms and onions mixed with a creamy or egg-based filling. The mushrooms gave it an earthy taste, while the onions added sweetness and depth. Heavy cream or cheese often enriched the filling, making it rich and indulgent. Despite its appealing ingredients, the pie faced criticism for its heavy, sometimes greasy texture. The cream and mushrooms could make the crust soggy, which many people found unappetizing. Additionally, the strong flavors of mushrooms and onions were not liked by everyone, leading to mixed reviews. The pie was most popular during the 1960s and 70s, a time when casseroles and savory pies were common in American homes. However, as taste changed and lighter, healthier dishes became more popular, mushroom and onion pie eventually fell out of favor.
This vinegar pie originated in the 19th century when there wasn't an abundance of fresh produce.
Vinegar pie, a unique dessert, appeared during the Great Depression when ingredients were hard to come by. This pie had a filling made from vinegar, sugar, butter, and eggs, creating a custard-like texture. The vinegar gave it a tangy taste that balanced the sweetness of the sugar and the richness of the butter and eggs. Popular in the 1930s and 40s, vinegar pie was a clever way for families to enjoy dessert when they couldn't afford or find citrus fruits. It was especially common in rural areas and logging camps where fresh produce was scarce. Despite its ingenuity, vinegar pie was often criticized for its unusual taste and the sharpness of the vinegar, which some people found unpleasant. As the economy improved and ingredients became more available, the pie's popularity declined. By the 1950s, it was mostly remembered as a practical solution from tougher times rather than for its flavor. As we've seen with vinegar pie's unique place in history, can desserts get even more unconventional? Let's explore the quirky avocado lime pie next.
Bitch ready? Take a bite. Avocado key lime pie for your delight.
Avocado lime pie, a quirky creation from the 1960s, mixed the creamy texture of avocados with the tangy taste of lime juice. This pie usually had a graham cracker crust and was filled with a blend of mashed avocados, sweetened condensed milk, lime juice, and egg yolks. It was often topped with slices of avocado, giving it a unique look. During the mid-20th century, as avocados were being promoted as a versatile ingredient, this pie gained some popularity. However, its unusual mix of flavors and textures made it a controversial dessert. Many people found the combination of creamy avocado and tangy lime to be strange, leading to mixed reviews. Despite its creative twist, avocado lime pie was often seen as one of the least popular pies, as its flavor was neither distinctly sweet nor savory, leaving many unsure of how to appreciate it.
This is from 1922, and we're going to do a recipe out of this book for something called mock cherry pie.
Mock cherry pie, a creative but controversial dessert, appeared in the early 20th century as a stand-in for real cherry pie when cherries were out of season or just too pricey. This pie used cranberries and raisins to imitate the flavor and texture of cherries. The filling typically consisted of whole cranberries, raisins, sugar, flour, and a touch of vanilla, all cooked together until the cranberries became tender. The mixture was then poured into a traditional pie crust and baked until golden brown. During the Great Depression and World War II, mock cherry pie gained some popularity as a resourceful cooking alternative. However, its unusual mix of ingredients and the effort to mimic the beloved cherry pie often led to mixed reviews. Many people found the combination of tart cranberries and sweet raisins to be an odd pairing, resulting in a pie that was neither truly cherry-like nor particularly appetizing.
Today I want to show you how I made this carrot pie. Now just sit back and watch and I'll show you how I made this beautiful, delicious carrot pie.
Carrot pie was a unique dessert from the mid-20th century, made with cooked and mashed carrots, sugar, and spices, similar to pumpkin pie but using carrots instead. The filling generally included mashed carrots, sugar, eggs, milk, and spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. This mixture was poured into a pie crust and baked until it set. Carrot pie saw some popularity during the 1950s and 60s when home cooks experimented with vegetables in desserts. Carrots, being common and affordable, were used as a sweetener in various dishes, especially when sugar was hard to come by. Despite its nutritious ingredients, carrot pie was often deemed one of the worst pies due to its unusual flavor and texture. Many people found the taste of carrots in a dessert unappealing, and the pie's texture was frequently too dense and moist.
All right, my friends, there you have it. Lemon buttermilk pie. Don't that look good? It smells amazing.
Lemon buttermilk pie was a classic Southern dessert known for its tangy and creamy custard filling made from lemon juice and buttermilk. It typically included eggs, sugar, flour, melted butter, lemon zest, and vanilla extract. The mixture was poured into a pie crust and baked until the custard set and the top turned slightly golden. Popular in the mid-20th century, lemon buttermilk pie was a common feature at Southern gatherings and family dinners because of its simplicity and the ease of obtaining its ingredients. Despite its popularity, it was often considered one of the least favored pies due to its unusual flavor. The sharp tang of buttermilk and lemon created a taste that some found too tart, while the custard-like texture did not appeal to everyone. As we dive into lemon buttermilk pie's tangy history, can a molasses-filled pie from the Pennsylvania Dutch really compete? Let's explore shoe fly pie and its history.
I'm Tess, and I'll show you how to make this easy, gooey, and yummy shoe fly pie.
Shoe fly pie was a distinctive dessert from Pennsylvania Dutch cuisine, featuring a filling made from molasses and a crumbly topping. It first appeared in the late 19th century as a crustless molasses cake called Centennial Cake, which was created to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Adding a pie crust made it easier to eat, especially for breakfast with coffee. The pie's main ingredients included molasses, brown sugar, water, and a crumbly mix of flour, sugar, and butter. There were two types: wet bottom, which had a gooey layer at the bottom, and dry bottom, which was more cake-like throughout. The name shoe fly probably came from the need to shoo away flies that were attracted to the sweet molasses filling. Despite its historical roots, shoe fly pie was often considered one of the worst pies due to its overly sweet and sticky texture, which many found off-putting.
So today I'm going to show you how to make grasshopper pie. Grasshopper pie is really it's a mint Oreo pie. It's nice and fluffy and light and minty.
Grasshopper pie, a mint-flavored dessert with a striking green color, became popular in the 1950s. Named after the grasshopper cocktail, it used creme de menthe and creme de cacao to give it a refreshing minty taste. The pie's filling was made by folding whipped cream into melted marshmallows or cream cheese, creating a light and fluffy texture. This mixture was then poured into a chocolate cookie crust, often made from crushed Oreos. Grasshopper pie was especially popular during spring and Easter celebrations because of its vibrant color and cool flavor. However, it was often considered one of the worst pies due to its intense mint flavor and overly sweet filling, which could be overwhelming. Additionally, the use of artificial green coloring and the combination of marshmallow fluff with liqueurs did not appeal to everyone.
It's going to be a spam and egg pie with possibly some onions in. That's enough talk. I'll show you how I prepare.
Spam pie was a unique dish from the 1950s, a time when spam was a common pantry item. This pie mixed chopped spam with eggs, cheese, and sometimes vegetables like onions and bell peppers, all baked in a pie crust. Spam itself was a canned meat product introduced by Hormel in 1937, and it became widely popular during World War II because it was easy to store and had a long shelf life. Spam pie was often served as a quick and convenient meal, especially in the post-war period when people valued easy-to-make foods. However, it became known as one of the least popular pies due to its unusual ingredients and the processed nature of spam, which many found unappealing. The pie's salty, greasy filling and the gelatinous texture of spam did not attract everyone, leading to its decline in popularity over time. Spam pie might have seemed like a quirky solution for a quick meal, but did it truly satisfy the palate? Let's explore the similarly unusual mock mincemeat pie next and see if it fares any better.
Today I'm going to show you how to make mincemeat pie, so let's get started.
Mock mincemeat pie, popular in mid-20th century America, sought to recreate traditional mincemeat pie with a twist. Instead of using dried fruits and suet like the original, this version featured ground beef or pork, apples, raisins, and spices such as cinnamon and cloves. The goal was to provide a cost-effective and accessible alternative to the more expensive meat-heavy mincemeat pies that originated in medieval England. During the 1950s and 60s, when convenience and budget-friendly recipes were highly valued in American households, this pie gained some popularity. However, its mix of savory meat with sweet fruits and spices didn't appeal to everyone. Many people found the combination strange and unappetizing, leading to its reputation as one of the worst pies of that era. Despite its intention to innovate, mock mincemeat pie often missed the mark for many taste buds.
You can see today's video is all about tuna fish pie, guys. Yes.
Tuna fish pie was a unique dish from the mid-20th century America that combined canned tuna, mayonnaise, and sometimes hard-boiled eggs or vegetables, all baked in a pie crust. This pie first appeared in the 1950s and 60s when convenience foods were popular in American kitchens. The goal was to create a quick, easy, and cost-effective meal using items that were already on hand, like canned tuna. Despite its practicality, tuna fish pie was often regarded as one of the least liked pies of its time. The mix of fish and mayonnaise in a pie crust was unusual and didn't appeal to many people. The texture and flavor were frequently described as unappetizing, leading to its reputation as a culinary failure. The dish, while practical, ultimately struggled to win over taste buds and remained a controversial recipe from that era.
Buttermilk pie. That's right, unless you're from certain areas of the South, you may have never had this before.
Buttermilk pie, a traditional Southern dessert, had its origins in European cooking and was brought to the U.S. by early settlers. The pie was known for its custard filling, made from basic ingredients like buttermilk, sugar, butter, and eggs, all baked in a flaky crust. It became especially popular in the southern U.S., where buttermilk was plentiful and cheap. The pie gained widespread popularity in the mid-20th century, particularly during the 1950s and 60s, because it was easy to prepare using common pantry items. Despite its simplicity, buttermilk pie faced criticism for its overly sweet and tangy flavor, which some people found unappealing. Additionally, the custard's texture could be inconsistent, sometimes turning out either too runny or too firm.
This mock apple pie, and it uses Ritz crackers as a substitute for apples to make an apple pie.
Mock apple pie was a unique dessert that became popular during the Great Depression when apples were hard to find. Instead of using apples, this pie used Ritz crackers to imitate the texture and taste of apple pie. The recipe involved breaking up the crackers and soaking them in a mixture of lemon juice, sugar, and spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. This mix created a surprisingly convincing apple-like filling. The pie was then baked in a traditional pie crust. Its popularity surged again during World War II due to ongoing food shortages. Despite its cleverness, many people thought it was one of the worst pies because it lacked the fresh, juicy apples that made a classic apple pie so delightful. The idea of eating a pie made from crackers rather than fruit was unappealing to some, which led to mixed feelings about its taste and quality. The mock apple pie's unusual twist might have left some puzzled, but could the next pie be even stranger? Let's explore mock turtle pie. Mock turtle pie was an unusual dish inspired by the traditional mock turtle soup, which was made as a cheaper alternative to real turtle soup. Popular in the mid-20th century, the pie used ground beef, hard-boiled eggs, and a mix of spices to mimic the taste of turtle meat. The ingredients were combined and baked into a pie crust, resulting in a savory and filling meal. The pie became popular during times of food shortages, such as during and after World War II, when people had to use what they had available. Despite its inventive approach, many people considered mock turtle pie one of the worst pies because of its strange combination of ingredients and strong, sometimes overpowering flavors.